Hey, everybody. This is Dennis Kelly from Postalytics. We are here today to discuss the launch of our new product called Postalytics MailBack. Super excited to have everybody here today. Thank you for joining, carving out a little bit of time. We'll try to cover everything in a half an hour and leave some time for Q&A at the end. I'm joined here today by Alec Graziano, our CTO and co-founder here at Postalytics, as well as Bill Boynton, who's in operations here at Postalytics. So thanks, guys, for joining me today, and we'll jump in here in a second. I just want to make a special shout out here for Alec, who's been working really hard on this thing for the last several months. And Alec, say hi to the audience.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We're really excited to kind of show what we have here today. It's been a lot of work from a lot of folks on this side, and it is our #1 requested feature over the last 6-9 months or so. So we're excited to show you what we have, and excited to get some feedback from you.
Excellent. Thanks, Alec. And as you guys are going along, you can use the Zoom question and answer tool. Alec and Bill will be here today helping me field questions and respond as we go along. So thanks, everybody. Let's jump right in. So what is Postalytics MailBack? MailBack is a new product that we have just rolled out today. It is now live in all of your accounts, for those of you that have Postalytics accounts. And so we're going to review today essentially what is the problem that we're trying to solve here, and then how this thing works, why it's got really good data, and you can be assured of kind of the compliance related matters associated with the use of this type of data. We'll talk about the pricing, and then we'll get into some questions. So the big problem that most websites have is that most of the visitors that come to visit your website, they just leave. So you spend all this time, all this money, everything you're doing, from content marketing, from pay-per-click ads, social media ads, everything, trying to drive people to your website. And on average, only about 5% of those visitors convert. And by convert, we mean leave some sort of trace of who they are. So majority of folks are out there just sort of lurking. They may be really interested in your product or your service, but they're just sort of checking you out, and they're going to get in touch when it's on their time and on their terms. And so that's a big problem for a lot of marketers. And so this problem that we're trying to address will help you extract more out of all the spend that you are putting out there in your website, in driving people to your website. And this will allow you to capture leads as they are coming onto your website and then market to them proactively. And so we're going to talk more about how that is all going to work here. So everybody's familiar with retargeting. This is essentially another form of retargeting. Most marketers have deployed retargeting campaigns digitally. And so the big players like Google and Meta and LinkedIn, they all have tools that allow you to retarget folks who have visited your website. And it's an effective way of marketing, right? We've all seen it. We've all gone on a website, maybe looked at a product, and then for the next week, wherever we are on the internet, we're seeing ads for that thing that I looked at last week, right? So it's been an effective marketing channel, and it works really well, but there's some issues there. First, you don't know who these people are. Meta knows, Google knows, LinkedIn knows who they are, but they're not telling you. They're keeping all of the behavioral data about each individual person. they're keeping any specific information they have about the makeup of a person, their financial profile, that whether they own a home or not. All of that is being held by those big media players, right? So marketers are spending this money, they're sending traffic over to Google, and Google's keeping everything. So that's one set of problems with traditional retargeting. As a result, visitor ID tools have popped up, and the first generation of those are great. They do a good job, but they are only using an IP address to determine who these people are. And there's typically not a lot of other data that comes along with it. And so by just using IP address, you're only getting about 20 to 25% of the traffic ID'd. And so there's a big opportunity to create a new product that can solve these problems for marketers. And that's what we've been focused on here. So we close that loop. We are identifying, MailBack is identifying people on your site and giving you their name, mailing address, email address, and a whole lot of other data, and allows you to automatically drop a personalized piece of direct mail or a series of direct mail pieces in their hands. And the thing is just running in the background, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, right? So this is a tool that will give you leads and then allow you to automatically market to those leads. That's the exciting part about MailBack. So there's a few steps involved in setting this up and running it. We're going to review that today. We're going to walk through the process of setting up a MailBack campaign, and then talk about some of the issues and some of the things that come up as you are running these campaigns. Because we've been running them now for a couple of months, and we've learned quite a bit. We're still early in the process, but we've got enough under our belt to bring this out to the market and start working with all of you. So the first thing we're going to talk about is installing a pixel. So what MailBack creates is a tracking pixel that works in some ways very, very similarly to the same tracking pixels that you're already loading, most of you are already loading on your website. The tracking pixels from Google and Meta and LinkedIn that I mentioned before, other tracking pixels. Postalytics has a tracking pixel for our personalized QR codes and URLs, right? So we're all familiar with these pixels. They get loaded in your website, and then they identify things that are happening and take some actions. And so we've created a wizard that will walk you through the configuration of one of these pixels. Just takes a few minutes. And that wizard will then generate a pixel that you can drop into your website through a couple of different means. We'll talk more about that as we go. So as you're going through that wizard, you set up some basic information, and then you've got some choices. So we're offering here a pretty flexible program that's designed for different types of companies, different types of budgets, and allows you to really configure this thing to do exactly what it is that you need to do. And so the most important decision in the beginning here is to choose the data tier that you will be operating with. And so the data tiers are split into B2C or B2B. The B2C data tiers are obviously focused on consumers. B2B's data tiers focused on business people. And we are offering two different types of B2C data tiers. We have a value and a premium data tier. The value data tier will identify about 50% of your visitors, and it will give you their name and address and email address, and some basic demographic information like age and gender, etc. And it will give you that for a fairly inexpensive price of 20 cents a lead. The B2C premium data tier will give you all of that plus 9 other premium demographic fields. We call them top demographics. And we'll get into more of that as we go along. So 2 different choices, 2 different price points. And then the B2B data tier, obviously very focused on business people. So choose data tier. You can choose whether you want to add phone numbers to each of the leads that come in, or the phone numbers that are available out there in the world. But then the next most important thing is to set up a monthly budget. So, obviously this type of product could run, and if your website gets hammered with a lot of traffic, you could run up a really big number here on these leads. So we give you the ability to put in a monthly budget figure that will essentially max out when you hit that number in each given month. So you can budget this thing very effectively, and then you have some more advanced options where you can set up a holdout group with A/B testing. You can set up tags, and you can drop this all into Google Tag Manager. We'll talk more about that as we go along as well. So after you choose the data tier and you get your budget set up, the next thing to do is to set up your filtering. And so within MailBack, you can filter based on the entire USA. And we should just say right up front, this is a US product only. It will only fire for visitors from the United States. The data is only for people, consumers or businesses in the United States. So there's really not a lot of worry about some of the international traffic that you may have, because it's really not going to fire. It's not going to be a part of this. But you have the ability to then filter geographically in a more detailed way by choosing the states that you want to have this fired. So people that reside in a particular state, if you choose, will fire, and people that don't reside in that state will not fire. You can add as many states as you want, or you can choose the entire USA. Same thing with zip code. Let's say you've got a retail location or a restaurant, and you want to target people by, say, the 5 zip codes around you. Well, you can simply enter those 5 zip codes, and then only people that live in those zip codes will be matched and will be fired and triggered a lead to you. So there's the geographic part is an important part of this. And then the other part is that you can filter based on behavior on your website. So you can say, hey, I only want to send this to people that are visiting a particular set of pages. Or, you know what, I'm going to put it on my entire website, but I'm going to block these 3, 4, 5, 6 pages, whatever the case may be. So you've got kind of page level behavioral filtering. And then you also can set up engagement rules. And this is what we've seen so far is a really powerful way of kind of cranking up or cranking down your lead traffic. So you can set up a filter that requires a particular number of page views on the site, because often people don't want to have maybe a postcard firing to people that just sort of hit one page. Maybe you want to show only touch people that are highly engaged and are viewing lots of different pages of your site. Then the other factor is around time on site. So even if somebody hits the page that you want or pages, but they hit them very, very quickly, maybe they're not the most qualified traffic. And so you don't want to follow up with those. So you've got and/or logic there. You can really modify, how many leads you're capturing from the total traffic on your site by manipulating these data sets. All of this can be done here through the interface. And you can also do this through Google Tag Manager. And, that's kind of how we've done it on our site. We're running this live now. And we found that, we use Google Tag Manager for lots of different pixels and a lot of different managements of different things that are happening on our site. And so it was just easy for us to manage everything right through Google Tag Manager. So lots of different flexible ways to do this, but these are the things that will help you really ensure that you're focused on the most important people, your ICPs that are visiting your website. So once you walk through this wizard, we will create this pixel, and you can see there's a little tiny script on the lower left-hand side. It is anonymized. It's website visitor leads.com, so it's not traced to any individual. You drop that into either the header of your page or your website, or again, drop it into Google Tag Manager and let Tag Manager do the work for you. All right, and so that's it. It's a pretty simple process. You set this thing up, and then you drop it on your website, and then you're ready to go. So what happens from there? Well, after a couple of hours, as things get fired up, MailBack starts identifying your visitors. And so your visitors that meet the criteria that you have configured will all of a sudden start showing up on a leads dashboard. And so all of these leads, they'll come in automatically, and you can open them up and you can see all sorts of data. So here's an example of a B2B lead, right? And it shows, and we've obfuscated the PII obviously here, but name, email, address, page visit information about the number of employees at the company this person works at. We're able to bring in title, company revenue, company phone number, company LinkedIn, personal LinkedIn. So lots of data on each individual. And the match rates are much, much higher than traditional or first generation visitor ID tools, because this platform is using multiple identity graphs, meaning multiple ways of figuring out who a person is. The vast majority of the first generation tools simply look at IP address and then match that against a database, and that's what they have. This product is using 3-4 different identity graphs. And so as we capture information about them, we're injecting it and then looking through these graphs to figure out who this person is, and then pulling lots of enriched data together, demographic data, firmographic data, pulling all that together and dropping it into your account. So this is really the bread and butter. This thing is pulling from lots of different big, powerful databases that are out there from some of the biggest identity graph organizations in the world, collating that data and bringing it down into your Postalytics account right in this leads dashboard. So we also offer suppression, right? So there are situations where maybe you don't want this to reach a particular lead. You don't want a lead to fire. And so what you're able to do is set up what we call prior suppression, meaning once a person has visited this site and meets this criteria, they will be suppressed for the period of time that you select. So you can turn that off, right? And if you want to, or you can say, hey, I want to suppress for 1 month or 6 months or forever. If they show up, I don't ever want to see them again. So lots of capability there that you can configure. And then you can also upload suppression lists, which are simply just lists of email addresses. And those suppression lists will automatically be checked before a lead gets matched and dropped into your account. So Very important. A lot of folks say they're running a special on a particular product and they're targeting a broad audience. Well, maybe they don't want existing customers to be a part of these campaigns, right? So upload your customer list and then they'll be blocked. So that's the most common use case for this suppression. So the real secret sauce of this is that you get the ability to tap into the power of our Postalytics Flows workflow engine. And so as you set up your pixel, you can choose what are you going to do with it, right? Because these leads are yours. You own these leads. It's not like Google or Meta or any of these companies where they own the leads and they're just showing your ad in different places. These leads are yours. You have a couple different options. You can save them and start a mailing process, which means essentially we're dropping them into a flow that we'll talk a little bit more as we go. You can just save these to a list and export a list, once a week, once a month, whatever you want to do, and you can use that for targeting via email or digital or whatever the case may be. Or you can save it to a list and then post out a webhook. And the webhook that you post out can be then used by other third-party software. So the lead comes in, all of the contact information about the lead, the demographic, behavioral data, that all gets posted out in a webhook. So you've got lots of flexibility in how you configure these things. The most powerful solution is to drop them into a flow. We'll talk more about that as we kind of go along here. So by dropping these leads into a flow, you've got lots of different options on what you can do. Postalytics Flows is a really powerful workflow engine that we built and have deployed over the last couple of years. And what it allows you to do is to configure these journeys or these workflows that will do lots of things. So sending mail, obviously, is one of those, right? So you've got an option to send a piece of mail or multiple pieces of mail in a sequence. And Flows is designed to allow you to configure these sequences with pauses and splits based on incoming data to show different creative to different audiences, all sorts of things. And so by dropping them into a flow, you have the most flexibility. Here, we're sending out a piece of mail. In this case, it's a postcard. It could be a letter. It could be a self-mailer, any of the things that Postalytics offers. And after that piece of mail gets sent out, we're webhooking out to another software tool that we use internally here that's called Clay. And so Clay is taking that contact that we're sending, it's assigning it to one of our sales reps, and then Clay is waiting for the process for delivery event to come out of the Postalytics postcard campaign or letter campaign. And then we webhook out again to Clay to say, all right, start sending this person an email, start prompting the rep to make a LinkedIn outreach, all the things that can happen in all these other tools out there. So one simple example of how a MailBack campaign can be an omni-channel, fully automated campaign that uses mail and uses other marketing channels through these workflow engines and configurations within Postalytics Flows. So this is the only tool of its type. There's nothing out there like Flows. There's obviously nothing like Flows combined with a identity resolution system like MailBack. And so this is the huge innovation and really separates MailBack from any of the other retargeting tools in the market. So once you've got this thing set up, you start tracking everything and watching and learning. And so a dashboard gets created. You've got a tremendous amount of information about what's happening within the campaign at kind of a macro level. Then you can drill in and look at all the individual leads. And so as this is going along, you'll be checking that dashboard on a regular basis. And then as you are seeing how things are working, you can quickly and easily adapt and learn and adjust the types of leads that you are targeting. And so you can hop back in and right through the settings dashboard, you can change, let's say, you know what, I don't like some of these leads. I'm going to require 2 page views instead of 1. Or, you know, I'm not getting enough leads. Maybe I'm going to crank the time on site down from 40 seconds to 20 seconds. Or, you know what, I'm going to add another page to this. So you can make all the adjustments and increase the scope of leads that this product is firing on, or decrease the scope based on your observations and how you want to configure your ongoing campaign. So let's talk about lead quality. Most importantly, the data that we are providing is being brought to you through lots of different data sources. It's being scrubbed for accuracy, and it is validated. And so your multiple identity graphs are being used to identify the maximum number of visitors possible. The data is then being dropped into a CAS and NCOA process so that the mailing addresses are verified, cleaned up, and delivered to Postalytics in a USPS, very USPS friendly way, right? And then email addresses are being brought in that are CAN spam compliant and have opted into receiving email. So the data is being brought in from lots of sources. It's being scrubbed. And then we talked about the suppression capabilities. You can say, hey, I don't want to send to existing customers, or, you know, this segment of my audience, this campaign is not appropriate for. So lots of ways to manage the quality of this data. From a pricing standpoint, we've made this really affordable. And so this has a subscription rate of $99 a month. And this can be added on to any Postalytics account. So if you have a free account, if you have a marketer plan, if you have a pro plan, if you have an agency plan, you can add MailBack onto your account and let MailBack run. And from there, you're choosing the data tier with different price points per lead. And you can add a phone append for another 8 cents. And then the only other charge, we have a one-time jumpstart onboarding charge that we want to have for all of our customers. We really want to walk you through this and make sure that this thing gets set up properly. It'll save everybody a ton of time and money by getting this thing configured properly right the first time. So simple process, subscription, leads, onboarding. And for agency partners, we have special wholesale pricing. And so you can talk to your CS rep or your sales rep about some of the ways that you can monetize MailBack with your clients. Compliance, big question. So as we've been talking to folks about this, the compliance questions come up immediately. So it's really important to understand that if you're going to use MailBack, you will need a cookie consent platform of some type. We've all seen these, and I suspect most of your websites out there already have one of these consent platforms. And so what this will do is it'll identify the traffic, and it will pop up whether or not you want to accept cookies or not. And if you accept cookies and you are a resident of the United States, then you will be thrown into this process. You may not be fired upon, you may not show up, but the cookie consent platform is the way to let your audience into the program. And so, we use this a platform called Cookie Yes. And what we found is that the requirements for MailBack are essentially the same as the requirements for the other retargeting products that are out there in the market in the digital space for Meta, Google, and others. So if you need help with this, we've got some help docs and recommendations we can make. But it's very important that you get a cookie consent program going on your website. We talked about the fact that the email addresses have been validated and are CAM-SPAN compliant. And we talked about suppression. And I think the other really important part here is that MailBack will only work with US website traffic and will only resolve to US addresses. So there are, as everybody's aware, more stringent privacy laws in Canada and Europe and the UK and other parts of the world. And the good news is that MailBack can't serve those people, right? So it will only find US residents. And so that can be built into your compliance framework, and we've got recommendations on some language for privacy policy and that type of thing. But again, it's a US only system. And as long as you are following the best practices for cookie management, consistent with other retargeting programs, you'll be in good shape with MailBack. So little touch here for flows. All the data that we're seeing from our clients tells us that you need to be sending more mail to get conversions. So a lot of the competitors out there, they'll send out a single postcard and that's it. Again, flows will give you the ability to set up multi-touch sequences and get much, much higher ROI from your campaign by touching the consumer or the business person 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So just remember that a single postcard is not enough. You're not going to maximize your return by just sending out one piece of mail. This is built for tons of different use cases. Tons. The use case that is most commonly deployed out there prior to the launch of MailBack has been in the retail or e-commerce category around shopping carts. This is what we've seen with the digital retargeting, right? So you go to a shoe retailer, hop on the website, look at a pair of shoes, and then you're looking at that pair of shoes for the next 2 weeks, everywhere you go, right? So that sort of product shopping cart experience is super low-hanging fruit. That actually applies to so many different industries now. And so that's a kind of easy campaign to get up and running. And you can do that really for any type of industry that you're in. So to get started, reach out. This is now live, and your sales rep, if you're an existing customer or your client success rep, can work with you to get answer questions, walk you through how this works, do a demo, help you think about the type of campaign you want to run, help you through your compliance questions, et cetera, et cetera. So we're here to help. And if you're new to Postalytics, then book a demo with us, and one of our reps will walk you through this and help you think about how MailBack can fit into your broader marketing strategy. So that's what we have for you today. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, we got a couple we can tee up here.
Excellent.
Let's start with Dennis. Can you run multiple retargeting campaigns concurrently? So maybe touch on the account, 1 pixel per account can lead into multiple campaigns.
Great. And I'm going to defer that question to my friend Alec over here.
Sure. So yes, you can run multiple retargeting campaigns for sure. And there's a lot of different ways to run it depending if you have multiple domains, that's kind of one path. You can have multiple domains. It's a pixel can be a one-to-many thing. So one pixel could service multiple domains if you like. It could be a one-to-one if you want to have them completely separate. And you can also have things separated by pages. Dennis kind of went over that a little bit, but you could have your pricing page servicing one flow, and you could have a different page servicing another. So there's a lot of different ways to configure it, but the short answer is yes.
Excellent. Thanks, Alec.
Yeah, let's jump into the next one. We have an agency edition account. Can we offer this as a product offering to sub-account clients? And how does the pricing work?
Great question. So the answer is yes. We have developed a version of MailBack for your agency sub-accounts. And so each sub-account would be a unique MailBack instance. As I mentioned in the presentation, we've developed some wholesale pricing so that you've got an ability to charge a subscription to your sub-accounts, and you can mark up that subscription. You can charge the leads for each of your sub-accounts, and you can mark up the lead fees. And then, of course, the same way that your mail works, you can mark up the underlying mail that goes out that is a part of this program. And so the specifics around the wholesale pricing, you can talk to your Postalytics client success or sales rep about. And but this was designed with agencies in mind. We think this will be a great product for agencies to introduce to their clients and a new revenue stream to monetize.
Couple different questions in here on suppression and how you can handle it. One of them is, can you do active customers from your CRM? How would that sync? And then an interesting one in here, that how does the suppression technically work? Is it name versus IP address?
Yeah, great question. So the suppressions work across a couple of parameters. The first one we discussed in the presentation is return visitors, right? So you've got some options in how you handle return visitors. For suppression data that you have in other systems, like CRMs and marketing tools or email tools, or whatever the case may be, you can export those lists and upload those lists into the suppression section of your dashboard as often as you like. So today we don't have any type of syncing capability for suppression data, but you can continually just drag and drop a new suppression list. And the suppression works based on the identified email address, right? So you really don't need anything more than a list of emails. And so what will happen is, if for every visitor that gets identified, the email address that is pulled in, or email addresses, because sometimes we have both a personal and a business email, those will be matched against the suppression list prior to that lead being dropped into your account. And so if we see a match against an email, then that person is suppressed. So it's not an IP-based suppression, it's really an email-based suppression. And so I think that's it for questions. Again, thanks everybody for coming. We're super excited about this. You'll be hearing a lot more from us over the coming months about MailBack, and look for our next product update in the next several weeks. We've got lots of great stuff coming out soon. So thank you and enjoy your day.